Gaston Schneider. A few people know me. We are from Kapital. I'm a co-founder. Mauricio is also the founder. We are mortgage lenders located in Aventura with 20 years of experience. We have been preferred lenders in many projects. Hopefully we will be preferred lenders here in Acqualina States at Acqualina and in Brickell in many projects. So we work together with different developers, with realtors, with brokers in order to close a sale. So we work as a partner. Why realtors need to know about mortgage? Mortgage is, the knowledge is power. The more information you know in order to make a sale, the better. Well, you can easily pre-qualify a client. If you know about the mortgage programs, instead of knowing all the specifics, you can know a few terms, or you can see, or you can ask a mortgage broker to work with you, and you can easily pre-qualify a client before you go and visit different projects. Instead of going with him or with her to Brickell or Sunny Isles, you can have an idea if this person can qualify to buy a property. Why mortgage brokers instead of banks? Banks typically try to help you to open a checking account, a savings account, CDs, and they have a mortgage just as another product. We do mortgage 100% of the time. We focus on mortgages. We know about mortgages from residential to commercial. Typically when you go to a bank, you have to make an appointment, you have to ask for a mortgage specialist. Typically they have one person for 5 branches, so it's difficult to talk to that person, and you have to make an appointment, and it's complicated. For us, you come to our office here in Aventura, and you call us, we can do a conference, and we try to help you close the deal. Cash versus credit. Most of the clients from South America or let's say New York, they try to buy cash at the beginning because they don't know that they have the more U.S. citizens, they know about it. From Latin America, foreign nationals, that's our specialty. They typically don't know that there's mortgage available. So we're trying to tell everybody that there's mortgage for foreign nationals. That means that people from another country, from Argentina, Mexico, etc., can get a mortgage in U.S. even though they are not U.S. citizens or they don't have a Social Security. So a lot of people, they don't get mortgage because they don't know that mortgage exists for foreign nationals. And then when you get a mortgage, we typically say instead of buying one property with $1 million, you can buy 2. We can finance 50% of the property, and then the other 50% can be cash, and we can spread in 2 properties. Another thing, the returns are higher. If instead of putting 100% of the money, let's say $1 million to buy a property, you put $500,000. When the property increases based on your initial investments, the caps, the return are much higher. So why foreign national loans? As I said before, our specialty are foreign national loans. We specialize in people from South America, Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, Russia, from Europe, and that's our specialty. We know how to do loans from people all over the world, and typically foreign national loans are easier than domestic loans. Domestic loans, they ask for tax returns, Social Security, etc. For foreign nationals, it's pretty easy. There are 5 requirements, and it can be done pretty easy. Type of mortgages. Different type of mortgage. You can the ARM product, the adjustable rate mortgage, which are the 3 1-arms, 5 1-arms, 7 1-arms, and then the fixed loans, the 30-year fixed and 15-year fixed. And then the different type of transaction. You have a purchase when somebody would like to buy a property, or a refi cash out. Let's say you sold that property 2-3 years ago, and your client paid cash. Now we can do a cash out. You can tell your client, listen, the rates are pretty low. You can get a cash out of your property. Let's say the property is worth $1 million. You can get $500,000, and then buy another property, getting another mortgage. So you can get a sale without the client bringing any money to the closing. We can get 50% of the existing property plus the other 50% of the new property. So the client ends up having 2 properties without putting any money. That's what's called a refi or refi cash out. Then the type of payments is principal plus interest or interest only. Most common is principal plus interest payments. Type of properties that we can finance, anything that is real estate. We can finance single-family residence, condominiums, townhouses, condo hotels, that is very popular here in San Miguel, and commercial, also shopping center, hotel, land. We can do construction loans. We can do everything that is related with real estate. We can do loans. We can lend 70% for houses and 65% for condominiums. That's for foreign nationals. And for U.S. citizens, the regular programs up to 97% with FHA for houses and 90% for condominiums. Everything depends on if that property is a primary residence, second home, or it's investment. There are a lot of combinations, but these are the ballpark. Foreign national requirements. We were talking about 5 requirements for foreign national. Pretty simple. Copy of visa and passport to get into the U.S. The visa could be a student visa, could be a tourist visa, doesn't have to be an investment visa. Any type of visa to enter legally to the U.S. An accountant's letter stating how much that person makes the last 2 years and the current year in the U.S. An utility bill from the country of origin, let's say Russia or Argentina, where he resides. Then a bank reference letter from any bank in the world, could be in Argentina, could be in the U.S. And then a bank statement showing the proof of funds. Let's say the client is financing 70%, so he's going to bring 30% down to the table. He has to show the 30% plus closing costs. Those are the 5 requirements, which are pretty easy for foreign nationals. With those requirements, we can start the process. Typically, the process, once we collect all the documents from the client, it takes 5 to 7 days for a commitment, and then a close another 20 days. So you're looking at the window between 30 to 40 days to close, more or less. Citizen or residents, we have different options. The traditional option or regular option is to get the driver license, tax returns, personal tax returns, and business tax returns, copy of the pay stub, and bank statements. And now there are other options. Let's say a lot of people, they don't qualify for regular traditional bank lending. We can go to option number 2, which is bank statement based. Instead of using the tax returns to qualify for income, now a lot of banks are using bank statement. What is a bank statement loan? They're going to take 12 months or 24 months of bank statements, and they're going to count every single deposit for those 12 months, and they're going to count those deposits as an income. They're going to take away the tax returns. So let's say a lot of self-employed, they put a lot of deductions on the tax returns. So they take away the tax returns and they leave only the bank statement. That way they can qualify easier for the loan. So there are a lot of ways to qualify a client. It's not only with tax returns or pay stub. What I'm trying to say is now there are more creative ways to qualify a U.S. citizen than before. After the crisis in 2008, all these programs disappeared, and now they're coming back, like the subprime mortgage rate. Type of occupancy, you have primary residence, investment, and second home. Of course, there are different rates for each of these categories. The primary residence is typically the lowest rate, and then second home and investment. But that's why we need to pre-qualify a client before, in order to know exactly what rate. And the rate will be based on the occupancy, the credit score, the income, and the liquidity. So when a client walks in and tells you what is my rate, it's very, very complicated to say this is your rate, because the range of rate, it depends. They start right now at, let's say, an adjustable rate mortgage, 3 years can be 3.5. Right, but not everybody qualifies for that. Could be 5, 5.5. It depends on the income, on the credit score, on the assets, on the type of occupancy. It depends on many, many options. So that's why the bank takes a few, let's say, to pre-qualify and give you an estimate, we have to gather all the documents. It can take 24 hours, 48 hours to give you an exact rate. And then the closing, you can close under personal name, or also you can close under corporation. A lot of foreign nationals, they typically close under corporation name, either an LLC or an Inc. And on top of that LLC, they have an offshore company. A lot of times they come to us and say, like, we have this structure, an LLC and then an offshore company, can we do a loan? The answer is yes. We can do a loan because there are a lot of banks that understand these type of tiers. the 1 tier, 2 tiers, 3 tiers with a local LLC, and then an offshore, and then a trust. You are with a client, and you want to, the client tells you what's my payment. And so we give you an example of based on a $200,000 purchase, $100,000 loan per 100,000. The rate of 4% is the payment is $477 per month. So you can tell for every $100,000 that you finance, the payment will be around $477 or $500 per month. So if they finance $1 million, how much will be the payment? Around $4,700, $5,000. So that's to have a quick idea of how much will be the payment.
One mistake is you need to tell the client that their money needs to come from their bank account. It doesn't matter from a bank in Russia, from a bank in Switzerland, from a bank in Brazil, doesn't matter. The tip is make sure your client sends the money from their bank if they're going to look to get a mortgage.
How long the time this?
Doesn't matter. Just need to show the money coming out of his bank account. Doesn't have to be pledged for 2 months, 3 months. Doesn't matter. That's the number one mistake. Okay, and basically that's everything.
They cannot bring the down payment on a suitcase anymore?
They can. We got a solution for every client. We got a solution for every client. But if they want to get the best rate possible,
yes. Okay.
they want. But they can give the money cash. They won't accept it here in cash anymore. Before they used to. But there's a solution for every client.
The banks, they order the appraisal. So once we gather all the documents, we submit it to the credit analyst, and then they have a roster of probably 5-10 different appraisal companies, and they say they send an appraisal company to Acqualina, and they bring a report 2 or 3 days after, and they do a comparison within Acqualina and then with the buildings next to Acqualina. Typically, for all the pre-construction projects like Porch Towers or J Signature or Acqualina, there are no problems with comparables. They work with the sales team because they typically close the cash deal first. So they are comps already, in order to do the credit based on those comps. The rate is based on the tax return, based on the credit score and the liquidity and the income. So it's very complicated to give you a rate right now because it won't be true. So that's why we need to pre-qualify.
You're about someone that has a very good credit.
It's between 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are programs, adjustable rate programs, fixed for 3 years, can be 3.5% also. It depends on what your client wants. When you do an FHA, it's 97%, and the 3% remaining can be a gift. Let's say your father or any family member can give you.
Or the seller.
Or the seller, so they can basically enter a loan with 0% down.
We have loans for everybody. Okay, Venezuela, the income, not the nationality. If the income is in Venezuela, there's a hit on the rate. You got a Venezuelan buyer here in Acqualina, for example, and their income is in Venezuela, they're not going to get a 4%. They will probably get a 5.5%. But every Bolivia, Ecuador, Russia, Colombia, Brazil, they can get rates in the 4s.
Okay, just to wrap around. So if I want to offer a unit to a Bolivian client, so the maximum that you will finance will be
65%.
65%.
On a condo, the money should come from his bank account any part in the world.
Okay.
Or his company.
Okay.
If he from Bolivia, If he's got an account in Switzerland, you can send it to Switzerland. Yeah, that's it. That's the trick to get the best rate possible.